Okay. Hi, Millie. Yes. Can everyone hear me? So if you can hear me, um, type can type it out in the comment section. All right. So let me know if you can hear me, and we will start at 5 p.m. exactly. Yes. Thanks, Millie. Okay. So today is our last lesson. So I hope you guys have been joining this live lesson. So once the clock reaches 5 p.m., we will get started. And what we're going to learn today, for today, we're going to learn fractions. Okay, so maybe just wait for a while more. Yes. Hi. Guo. Mm, yes. Hello. Okay, let me like like the command. Okay, so 2 more minutes, then we will get started. And I think what we're going to learn today is very important and it's also very interesting. So fractions, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of fractions before, but I believe this is something that is going to be very relevant to our daily life. Okay. So especially if let's say you like to eat like pizzas, if you like to eat like waffles, um, I believe this lesson is going to be very useful for you guys to eat as many pizzas as possible. All right. Okay, 2 more minutes before we begin. So I hope you guys have been doing well. How's the homework so far? You guys think it's too easy? Ipo says, I am liking the video. Yes, I can saw you liking the video. Thanks for liking the video. All right, so do you guys think the homework is too easy, too difficult? Just nice. I did see a few of you guys getting full marks for the homework. So a very good job to everyone that submitted the work, right? Whether do you get full marks or not, okay, that's not important. Okay, most importantly, you tried the questions. I think that's the most important thing. All right. So maybe a few more seconds before we start this today's lesson. Then yes. Yes, Ipo, I saw you liking the videos. I saw your comments also. All right. Okay, it's 5. So let's get started. So good afternoon, everyone. So welcome back to our last live lesson for today, right? So today we're gonna learn fractions. And I hope you guys know what are fractions, right? So just a quick introduction for those that newly joined us. Oh, so let's sorry. Let's move on to the learning objective first. Okay, so what are we going to learn today? For today, we are going to understand fractions, including what is a numerator and what is a denominator, right? Afterwards, we will compare fractions with like numerators or like denominators. And lastly, we will learn how to add and subtract fractions. Okay, so that's what we are going to learn today. Next, just a quick introduction for those that joined today. Okay, my name is Teacher Junjie, and I'm a P2 teacher in Think Academy. Right, so I graduated from NUS and I have 4 years of teaching experience. Right, so we will have 3 weeks of live lesson, and today is the last week. All right, so Thursday, 5 to 5:40. I mean, if you guys are here for today, there's no more next lesson, right? So, and for those that have been submitting your homework, you just have to submit one more homework before you can get the certificate. Okay, so once you collect 3 hearts, you will get a certificate. All right, so these are the people that submitted their homework last week. All right, so I give you guys some time to try to find your name on this in the list. Okay, so I do see some familiar names on the list. Okay, for example, like I see Ipo. So I'm not so sure whether is it the same Ipo that is liking the video right now. Okay, so I hope you guys managed to find your name for those that submitted. Okay, now let's move on to, okay, so these are the topics that we went through, right? The first lesson, we went through money problems. And the second lesson, what do we learn? We learned 3D shapes. And lastly, for today, we are going to learn fractions. All right, so finally, let's get started. Okay, so let's start with a warm up, right? So let's divide. So the first thing I want you to do is divide the cake into two equal parts. Okay, so for those that already have your worksheets printed, I want you to draw on your worksheet. All right, how are you going to divide the this cake into two equal parts? Okay, so I believe it should be very easy, isn't it? Okay, so what I need to do is I just have to cut a line in between, right? And yes, that's it, two equal parts. Okay, maybe mine is not so equal, okay, but yes, you get the gist. Okay, so just one line in the middle. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Divide the watermelon into four equal parts. Okay, so I don't think this is a problem for you guys also, right? So let's cut it together. So once again, okay, one line in the middle. Okay, so when I cut this watermelon into, when I cut one line, is it four equal parts? Not yet, right? So what else do I need to do? I have to draw one more. Okay, let me try again. Draw one more line, okay? And with that, you will get four equal parts, okay? So I believe you guys can do a better job than me, right? Especially if you have your ruler with you, okay? So actually, by the end of the day, fractions is just cutting your cake and your watermelon into equal parts. All right, so let's proceed to the next page. All right, so what color half of a circle, right? So half is in words, right? But however, we are learning math. Okay, so how can we write half into math? Okay, so a half can be written as this is how we write half in math. All right, so you realize that there's one number on top followed by a line. Okay, then after that, there's another number at the bottom, right? So what do we call this number? Let's take a look. Okay, so okay, when it comes to a fraction, okay, we have a number on top. Okay, and the number on top we call it the numerator. Okay, so the numerator shows how many parts we have out of the whole. Right. After that, followed by a line. Then afterwards, we have a number at the bottom, right? And the number at the bottom, we call it the denominator. Okay, and the denominator is the number that shows how many equal parts are there in total. Correct. So now let's go back to this circle. Okay. So what colors half of a circle? Okay. And we know that, okay, the number on top is one. Okay. Why is it one? Because in total, we have two parts, correct? But out of the two, how many parts is colored? Okay, only one part is colored, right? Which is why we have number one on top. All right. Next, okay, why do we have the number two at the bottom? Okay, why do we have the number two as our denominator? This is because how many parts do we have in total over here? All right, we have two parts, correct? One and, okay, let me write it down. We have 1 and 2, which is why for the denominator, we have 2. Understand? Okay, very good. Come, let's proceed to the next part, okay? So Pete divides a whole waffles into 5 equal parts, okay? If Pete eats 4 parts, he eat what out of what equal parts, all right? So now let's number the parts all together, okay? So grab on your pen or pencil, okay? Let's write down the parts, okay? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 parts in total, right? And we know that out of the 5 parts, how many parts did Pete eat? Okay, the question said that Pete eats 4 parts. Okay, so maybe you can underline this part. Okay, so now let's answer the question together. He eats what out of what equal parts? Okay, so who can tell me in total? Okay, in total, how many parts are there in total? Okay, so if you know the answer, once again, let's type it out in the comment section. All right. So in total, how many parts do I have? Okay, so I give you guys some time to answer the question. All right, let me see. Let me take a look at the comments. Okay, yes, okay. So in total, I have 5 parts, correct? So in total, I have 5 parts. Let me write it down. And out of the 5 parts, okay, how many parts are eaten by pig? Okay, we know that out of the 5 parts, 4 parts are eaten by pig, right? So he eats 4 out of 5 equal parts. Okay, so out of, you realize that out of, right? There's one very special thing about out of is whenever we want to write in terms of fraction, out of, we can just change it to the line. Remember, we say that whenever we have a fraction, there's a line in between two numbers, right? So out of, we can just change it to the line in between two numbers, okay? So the part is what of the whole fraction. So this is when we need to write the fraction down, okay? So it's very easy to write down the fraction. So let's refer to what we wrote previously, okay? We know that he eats 4 out of 5, right? So let's write down 4 first. Let's write down 4 first. And we know that out of, we say is just like the line in between two numbers, right? So let's write down the line. And finally, let's write down 5. Okay, so 4 out of 5 of the whole waffle. So once again, I want you guys to write it down with me. All right, so the party is it's 4 out of 5 of the whole waffle. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, the denominator of the fraction is, okay, so remember, the denominator, is it the number on top or the number at the bottom? Okay, denominator is the number at the bottom, right? And the number at the bottom represents the, what does it represent? It represents the total part. Okay, so who can tell me in total how many parts are there? Okay, how many parts is this waffle being cut into? Cut into 5 equal parts, right? So I know that in total there are 5 parts. Very good. Okay, and what about the numerator? Numerator is there, represents the number of waffles eaten, right? How many pieces of waffle are eaten? And we know that the question told us, okay, Pete eats 4 parts. Okay, so the numerator is 4. All right, very good. Okay, so I hope you guys are done copying. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. Okay, so but, okay, so if you guys are not so sure, Bud and Peep is like, they are like the characters in Think Academy, okay? So Bud also divides another waffle into 5 equal parts. Okay, so once again, let's write it down together. Okay, let's number the parts together. Okay, so everyone, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Very good. Okay, and we know that if Bud eats 3 parts of the, okay, 3 parts of the 5 equal parts. Okay, then she eats, okay, what of the waffle? So what do we want to write over here? We want to write the fraction, right? How can we write the fraction? So once again, let's start from the number on top. Okay, we know that the number on top represents the number eaten by Bud, right? So how many parts did Bud eat? Okay, who can tell me? Okay, we know that the Bud ate 3 parts, right? This is given. Okay, the question told us that Bud eats 3 parts. Okay, so let's write it down. Afterwards, what's after the number on top? We just like write a line in between. And now we need to move on to the number at the bottom, right? Okay, remember, what do we call the number at the bottom? We call it the denominator, okay? So the number at the bottom represents the total number of parts, correct? Okay, so who can tell me how many parts are there in total for these waffles? Very good. Okay, we know that the question told us that this waffle is split into 5 equal parts, right? So the number at the bottom should be 5. Okay. Then afterwards, what's the next question we are curious with? Okay, we know the question asks, she is left with what of the whole waffle? Okay, so now, okay, let's try to write down another fraction. Okay, now who can tell me? Okay, if let's say I have 5 parts in total and I ate 3 of them, okay, it means I ate 3 of them, how many parts are left? 2 parts are left, right? Very good. Okay, so now for the number on top, since I'm asking how many parts are left, it should be 2. Okay, and once again, I draw the line. And what is the number at the bottom? Remember, I say the number at the bottom represents the total number of waffles, right? Total parts of waffle. So how many parts are there in total for the number of waffles? There are 5 parts, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the number at the bottom would be the number 5. Okay, so she is left with 2 out of 5 and she eats 3 out of 5 of the whole waffle. Okay, very good. I see some comments. Okay, Nina. All right, so now let's have a competition with me. All right, so let's see if you actually understand the concept. Okay, so now, okay, what fraction is this? Is it A, B, or C? Okay, this one should be, oh, this should be C, sorry. Okay, this should be C, right? Very good. All right, okay, so, okay, let's move on to the next question. What about this one? Is this A, B, or C? Okay, this one should be B. Okay, this one should be B. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, what is this? Okay, now we have many pieces. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So is this A, B, or C? Is it 8 over 1? Or is it 1 over 8? Or is it 8 out of 7? Yes, okay, very good. The answer is 1 out of 8, right? Why is it 1 out of 8? In total, I have 8 pieces, correct? So the denominator would be 8 out of the 8 pieces. Okay, how many pieces are shaded? Only one, right? Only one piece is shaded. So I get 1 out of 8, all right? Okay, so just like humans, right? You guys all have a name. Okay, fractions, they also have a name. Okay, so 1 out of 2. Okay, what's the name for 1 out of 2? We call it 1/2 or a half, right? So for example, I ate 1/2 of a pizza, right? I ate 1/2 of a burger. Okay, what about 1 out of 3? I call it 1/3 or a third. Okay, let's move on. What about 1 out of 4? I call it 1/4 or a quarter. Okay, so this is quite easy, isn't it? Okay, 1 out of 5, I call it 1/5 or a fifth. And what about now? Okay, instead of 1 out of something, I have 2 out of something. Okay, then what do I call it? Okay, I call it 2/3, right? So 1 out of 3, I call it 1/3. Okay, 2 out of 3, I call it 2/3. Okay, so remember the S at the back. Okay, so why is that so? This is because 2 out of 3 is actually, okay, 2 times 1 out of 3, right? So remember the S at the back, and you can remember this as 1 out of 3 and plus another 1 out of 3. Okay, so I have 2 of them. Okay, so if I have 2 of the same thing, okay, it will be plural, isn't it? Okay, and that's why I have a S at the back. All right, okay, let's proceed. Okay, so now that we're done with 2/3, what's the next one? What do we call this? Okay, remember just now when I have 1 out of 4, I call it 1/4. Okay, now I have 3 out of 4. What should I call this? I should call this 3/4. Okay, so I want you to copy down in your handout. Okay, let's move on to the next one. 5 out of 6. Okay, what do I call it? Okay, 1 out of 5, I call it 1/5. Okay, 5 out of 6, I call it 5/6. All right. So realize that, okay, the number at the bottom, okay, is actually your ordinal numbers, right? The one with T, H, and S. Okay, so remember that it is your ordinal number, okay, the one with T, H, S. All right, and lastly, okay, let's move on to, I hope this is not your favorite number, okay? So what do I call this fraction? I call this fraction 6, 7. Okay, so once again, remember the TH and also the S, okay, because it's plural, right? So let me underline this. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys some time to copy it down before I move on to the next part, okay? Okay, I hope all of you guys copy it down. Okay, if you guys need more time to copy, you guys can watch the recording later. All right, so now let's move on. Okay, please fill in the blanks with the appropriate fractions. All right, so what do I have over here? I have a hexagon, right? So how many parts do I have for the hexagon? Let's count together. Okay, let's count together. Come on. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I know that in total there are how many parts? There are 6 parts, correct? So should 6 be on top? Okay, should 6 be the number on top or should 6 be the number at the bottom? Okay, I know that 6 should be the number at the bottom, right? Why is that so? Because remember, we say the denominator, which is the number at the bottom, represents the total number of parts we have. Okay, so can write it down. I know that 6 should be at the bottom. Okay, now, what about the number on top? What should it be? If I know that only one part is shaded, okay, what should be the number on top? Then that would be just 1. Okay, so it will be 1 out of 6. Okay, maybe let me write it again so that it's neater. Okay, this will just be 1 out of 6. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Okay, let's move on to the next question, question 2. Okay, so who can tell me how many parts are there in total for this this bar over here? Okay, so let's count together. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right, in total I have 7 parts. Okay, so which number? Okay, is it the number on top or is it the number at the bottom? It's going to be 7. It should be the number at the bottom, right? So let me draw a line. I know that definitely my fraction is going to have a line, correct? So let me draw a line and I'm going to write the number 7 at the bottom. Okay, now let me ask you, okay, out of 7 parts I have over here, how many parts are shaded? Okay, very easy, right? I have 1 part shaded, I have 2 parts shaded. Okay, so if I know there are 2 parts shaded, then what number do I write at on the top? Okay, I just write 2. Okay, so if I ask you, okay, what fraction of this bar is shaded? Okay, the answer would be 2 out of 7. All right, very good. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. Okay, so same thing, right? Question 3. Okay, how many parts are there in total? Okay, so let's number the parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? I know that in total I have 8 parts. Okay, so now do I write the number 8 on top or at the bottom? I write it at the bottom, right? Because the number at the bottom represents the total number of parts I have. Okay, so I'm going to write it down at the bottom. Okay, and what do I write on top? Okay, how many parts are shaded in total over here? I know that in total there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 parts shaded, right? So out of the 8 parts, I have 5 parts shaded. So the number on top is going to be 5. Okay, very good. Nina says 5. Yes, perfect. Okay, so I can see you guys spamming some stickers in the comment section. All right, so please don't spam stickers. Okay, if you want to, you can answer the question. Okay, don't spam stickers. All right, very good. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so now I have some apples over here. Okay, I hope you guys like to eat apples, right? So let's count. Okay, how many apples are there in total? Let's write it down. Okay, I'm gonna write it on top. So I want you guys to write it down with me. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so in total, I know I have 9 apples, right? So now let me ask you, is the number 9 going to be on top or at the bottom? The number 9 is going to be at the bottom, right? Yes, very good. Okay, so I see. Oh, Nina already knows the answer. Okay, very good. Okay, so I know that in total I have 9, so the number 9 is going to be at the bottom. What about the top? Okay, how many apples are chosen? Just 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So the top is just going to be 4. Perfect. Okay, so if I ask you, okay, what fraction of the apples are in this bracket? It should be 4 out of 9. Very good. Okay, now let's take a look at this one. Okay, please fill in the blanks with the appropriate fraction. What out of what equal parts are unshaded? Okay, so when it comes to fractions, you guys need to be very careful with that question. Okay, sometimes they ask you for shaded, sometimes they ask you for unshaded. Okay, so it's a good habit to always circle or underline the keywords, okay, whenever you are reading a question. So I want to find unshaded, right? And I want to find equal parts. Okay, so the first question I want to ask you is, are we having equal parts currently? Yes or no? Okay, no, right? But why don't we have equal parts? You realize that we have a few triangles over here, okay? Some are pretty small, some are just like this. Okay, there's one that's really huge, right? All the way until here. So is that what we want? No, okay? We want to have equal parts, okay? So what do we need to do? Okay, I want to cut the big triangle into smaller triangles, right? So let's cut it together. And how am I going to cut it? I'm going to cut it like this. Right? Okay, and one more line. Okay. Okay, so after I cut, now I have triangles of the same size, so almost the same size, right? So now we can find out the fraction. Okay, so what's the first thing we want to do? We want to count how many parts are there in total, correct? So let's count together. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we know that in total there are 11 equal parts. Okay, so let's write down 11. Okay, so out of 11 equal parts. However, we want to find how many parts are unshaded, right? So out of the 11 parts, how many parts are unshaded? Let's count together. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so out of 11 parts, 7 parts are unshaded. Okay, then how are we going to write the fraction down? So once again, we're going to write the numerator first. What should the numerator be? How many parts are unshaded? 7 parts, right? Okay, then after that, we're going to have a line between, and how many parts do we have in total? Okay, I know that in total I have 11 parts. Okay, so what is the fraction of the figure that is unshaded? The answer is 7 out of 11. All right, very good. Okay, let's proceed to the next, let's proceed to the summary first, all right? So what do we learn so far? Okay, today we learn what's a fraction, correct? So I know that a fraction has numerator and denominator, right? So numerator represents the number of equal parts taken, okay? Whether it's equal parts eaten, equal parts shaded, okay? And the denominator stands for the number of equal parts in total. Okay, so one keyword you have to remember is equal parts. Okay, I want all my parts to be equal. Okay, so you need to make sure all parts are equal before writing fraction. Okay, so now let's move on. Right, Bud and Pete divide their waffles into 5 equal parts after they each ate some pieces. Bud was left with 1/5 and Pete was left with 2/5. Okay, so who has more left? I think this should be very easy for us, isn't it? Okay, so who can tell me in the comment section who has more left? Is it Bud or Pete? Okay, so in case you don't know, this red color girl over here, she's called Bud. Okay, and the blue color guy over here, she's called Pete. Okay, so for those in the comment section, okay, stop spamming stickers. Okay, answer my question. Yes, I see Nina. Very good. Okay, I know the answer is B, right? Okay, let me write it down. B. Okay, so how can we know that it's B? This is because we know that, okay, in total, they have, both of them have 5 parts, right? However, Bud only have 1 part left, but Pete has 2 parts, okay? So I know that Pete has more than But, all right, come, let's move on to the next part. Okay, But ate 1 out of 5 of a pizza, and Peep ate 1 out of 7 of the same pizza. Who ate more? Okay, so now let's shake the pizza together. Okay, let's shake for Bud first. I know that Bud ate 1 out of 5. Okay, so in total there are 5 pieces, and out of the 5 pieces, he ate 1 piece. Okay, so this is the amount that Bud ate. Okay, now let's move on to Peep. In total, there are 7 pieces. Okay, and out of the 7 pieces, Peep also ate 1 piece, right? So Peep also ate 1 piece. Okay, so now who can tell me, did Bud eat more or did Peep eat more? Okay, which piece is bigger to you? Is it A for Bud or B for Peep? And the answer should be A. Okay, now let me change it to A, right? So the answer should be A. You see that this piece is definitely bigger than this piece, right? Yes, very good. Okay, so when you see that when we have the same numerator, when the number on top is the same, okay, the smaller the denominator, the bigger the fraction. Okay, so just imagine if you have one pizza, okay, do you want to share with 100 people or you just want to share with you and your best friend? Of course, you don't want to share with so many people, correct? Yes, okay. So when two fractions have the same denominator, okay, the larger the what, the larger the fraction. Okay, so now you realize that two fractions, both of them have the same denominator, right? This one is 7, this one is also 7. Okay, so just imagine you have one pizza and you cut it into 7 pieces. All right, do you want to just eat 2 pieces or do you want to eat 5 pieces? Okay, I hope you guys like to eat pizza. Okay, because I love to eat pizza, right? So definitely I would want to eat as many pieces as possible, right? So I would want to eat 5 pieces. Okay, so now let's answer the fill in the blank together. When two fractions have the same denominator, the larger the numerator, okay, the larger the fraction. Okay, so I hope you guys know how to spell numerator. If you guys are not so sure, let's spell together, right? So Numerator. Okay, the larger the numerator, right? So between 2 out of 7 and 5 out of 7, okay, which one is bigger? Definitely the one with a bigger numerator, right? 5 is bigger than 2. Okay, so I know that 2 out of 7 is smaller than 5 out of 7. So let's write the smaller sign. Okay, this should be smaller. Very good. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Coco eats 3 out of 4 of a pie and Daniel eats 3 out of 8 of the same pie. Who ate more? Okay, so now let's cut the pie. Okay, so let's cut for Coco first. This is for Coco, all right? So I'm gonna cut it to, okay, this is not so equal, but cut into 4, right? And I know that out of the 4, Coco ate how many? Coco ate 3 out of 4, right? So let me shape 3 parts, okay? Let me shape 3 parts. Okay, and this is the amount that Coco ate. Okay, now let me do the same thing for Daniel. Okay, but for Daniel, how many parts do I need to cut in total? I need to cut it into 8 parts, right? So let me cut it into 8 parts. Oh, not so equal, okay? But you guys get the gist. Yes, and out of 8 parts, how many parts did Daniel eat? Also 3, right? So also let me shade 3 parts out of 8, okay? So you can see that who eat more? Definitely the answer is A for Coco, right? 8. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, when we have, okay, two fractions with the same numerator, okay, the larger the denominator, the fraction. So just imagine if you have a pizza, the more people you share with, the less you're gonna get, right? So the larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. Okay, so let's write down smaller the fraction. All right. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Okay, arrange the following fractions from the smallest to the greatest. Okay, so we realize that what is the same, okay, among these 3 fractions? The number on top is the same, right? So this one is the same. This is also 1. This one is also 1. Correct? And remember just now we say that when two fractions or when multiple fractions have the same numerator, the larger the denominator, the fraction, the smaller the fraction. Okay, so the more people you share with, okay, the less pizza you're gonna have for yourself. Okay, so between these three, okay, among these three, okay, who has the biggest denominator? 10 is the biggest denominator, right? So I know that if 10 is the biggest denominator, then 10 will be the smallest fraction. Okay, so 1 out of 10 is the smallest. Okay, now I'm left with 6 and 3, right? So between 6 and 3, who is bigger? Definitely 6 is bigger, right? So this middle one will be a 1 out of 6. And lastly, the greatest would be a 1 out of 3. Very good. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so for this part of the class, what did we learn? Okay, we learned that when we have fractions with the same denominator, okay, the bigger the numerator, the bigger the fraction, right? So when you cut a pizza into 5 pieces, do you want 2 pieces or 5 pieces? Okay, you want 5, you want all of them, right? You want as many as possible. Okay, next, when we have fractions with the same numerator, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction, right? You don't want to share your pizza with so many people. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, which is the last part of today's lesson. So how do we add or subtract like fractions? Okay, so you guys must be thinking, what are like fractions? Okay, what's a like fraction? Do you guys like fractions? Okay, I'm not so sure, but basically like fractions are fractions with the same denominator. Okay, so let's write it down on your worksheet, same denominator. Okay, so now let's take a look at this figure over here, right? At first, out of 8, okay, I have 2 of them shaded. Okay, only 2 parts are shaded, right? So just 1 and 2. After that, I decided that, oh, okay, I'm gonna shade 3 more parts. Okay, so 3, 1, 2, and 3, right? So now the next question that I want to ask you is, how many parts are shaded in total now? Okay, we can count it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I know that 5 parts are shaded in total. Okay, however, did the total number of parts change? At first, when I was here, I have 8 parts in total, right? Okay, then I move on, I still have 8 parts in total. Okay, so now and finally, I still have 8 parts in total. So I know that the total number of parts will not change, right? So the denominator is always 8. However, what changed? Okay, initially I only have 2 parts shaded. Afterward, I shade 3 more parts. So now in total, I have 2 plus 3, which is 5 parts shaded. Okay, so you realize that whenever we are doing addition for like fractions, okay, the denominator always stays the same, right? Only the numerator will change. Okay, now after we are done with addition, let's do subtraction now. Okay, so initially I have how many parts shaded? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 parts shaded. Okay, and afterwards I decided that, oh, okay, let me unshade 2 parts. Okay, so 1, 2. Okay, these 2 parts, I'm going to unshade them. All right, so now the next question I want to ask you is, did the total number of parts change? Also no, right? I start with 9 parts, I still end up with 9 parts in total. Okay, so the denominator will not change. Okay, what about the number of parts shaded? Initially, I have 5 parts shaded. Okay, afterwards, I decided to unshade 2 parts. Now I just have how many parts shaded? I just have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I just have 3 parts shaded. So the answer is 3 out of 9. Okay, very good. So now let's proceed to the last explorer. All right. So add the fraction, shade the circle to show the answer. All right. So initially I have 3 parts shaded. Afterwards, I decided to shade 4 more parts. Okay, so how many parts do we need to shade now? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I know that this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So now in total, I need to shade 7 parts, right? 3 plus 4 equals to 7. So let's shade 7 parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct. And we know that just now, what do we say? We say that the denominator will not change, right? So I just can write it down first. And I know that now, out of 8, how many parts are shaded? 7 parts are shaded. Okay, so it's the same thing for the next question. Okay, we know that the denominator will not change, so we can write down 10 first. Okay, and how many parts are shaded now? Initially, I have 1, 2 parts shaded. Afterwards, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so what is 2 plus 5? Also 7, right? So very good. Okay, so let's shade 7 parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if I have 7 parts shaded, the numerator is just going to be 7. All right. Okay, next question. Okay, so 4 out of 12 plus 7 out of 12. And I know that the denominator will always be the same, right? So let me write it down. I know that denominator will not change, so I can write down the denominator first. And at first I have 4. Okay, now I have 7. So I just need to add them together, right? What is 7 plus 4? 7 plus 4 is 11. Okay, so the answer is just 11 out of 12. Very good. So I can shade 11 parts very quickly. Okay, let me quickly shade 11 parts. And I'll just left with 1 part unshaded, right? Very good. Proceeding to the next question, I have 2 out of 6 plus 3 out of 6. So remember, we say that what will not change? The denominator will not change, right? So once again, I can just write down over 6 because I know that the denominator will always be 6. Okay, and for the numerator, at first I have 2 parts shaded. Afterwards, I decided to shade 3 more parts. Okay, so I will just have 2 plus 3 equals to 5, right? Very good. Okay, I just have 5 parts shaded. Okay, let me quickly shade 5 parts. And I get 5 out of 6. And the last question, okay, I think by this time you guys should be able to do it by yourself, right? So what will not change? The denominator, okay? And at first I have 1. After that, I shade 1 more. I'll just have 2 parts shaded. Okay, so I'll get 2 out of 3. Very good. So now that we're done with adding, okay, let's move on to subtraction, right? Let's move on to minus. Okay, so at first I have out of 4 parts, I have 3 parts shaded. Okay, so what did I decided to do? I decided to remove unshade 2 of the parts, right? So what stays the same? Remember, I say that the denominator stays the same, correct? So denominator stays the same, so it's over 4. For the numerator, at first I have 3. After that, I minus 2. So what is 3 minus 2? I would just get 1, right? So it's 1 out of 4. All right. Moving on to the next question. At first, I have 4 parts shaded, and I decided to remove 3 of the parts, right? Unshade 3 of the parts, okay? And once again, we know that our denominator is always the same, right? So we can just write down the denominator first. And if at first I have 4, and then I decided to unshade 3, I will just take 4 minus 3, which is also 1. All right. And let's move on to the final 2 questions, okay? So once again, what is 6 out of 7 minus 3 out of 7? So we know that what is the same? The number at the bottom, right? The denominator is always the same. So we're just going to put down 7. And what is 6 minus 3? It's just 3. Very good. Okay. And lastly, for the last question, 8 out of 10 minus 5 out of 10, okay? We know that the denominator is always the same, okay? So we can just write that out of 10 first. And lastly, we just need to take 8 minus 5, which is also 3, all right? 3 out of 10. Okay, so that's it. Okay, that's all the questions we have for today's live lesson. Okay, the remaining question you guys are gonna do as homework, okay? So we learned that, what do we learn today? Let's have a full summary. We learned what's a fraction, right? And we learned what's a numerator and what's a denominator and what do they represent. Afterwards, we know that for fractions with same denominator, the bigger the numerator, the bigger the fraction, correct? For fractions with same numerator, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So just remember the pizza example, right? You don't want to share your pizza with so many people. Okay, and we know that whenever we are adding or subtracting like fractions, okay, we keep the denominator and we only change the numerator. All right, so that's it for our last live lesson. Okay, I hope you guys learned something with us. And once again, remember, if you have been doing your homework for 2 consecutive times, okay, you just need to do your homework once more and submit it before Wednesday, 6 p.m. next week, and you will get a certificate. All right, so playback is provided. Okay, if you guys are interested to learn more math, okay, feel free to join our WhatsApp group or our WeChat group. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you guys. Hope to see you guys again. All right.